Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in to All Things Division 3 Soccer with Simple Coach and Jackie. I am indeed Simple Coach, and Jackie is up and about, wandering around as she does these days. Not much to do there. So thanks for tuning in. Going on week 3 of my Simple Coach women's top 25 teams. Been some movement, some jostling, but top of the table has pretty much been relatively static. So, although I do expect that to change here in the coming weeks as we get into conference play, and which is a very different animal to the non-conference games that they end up playing. So, I'm going to jump right into it. Just so you know, right? So not only do I do the video, but I will post the list on d3soccer.fans. You can look at the menu up top where it says 2024 Women's Top 25. You can check it there. I'll also create a post that will be on the homepage. So either way, and more importantly, and I'll repeat myself at the end, by all means, if you think of I'm missing it or there's some teams that I should be looking at, please comment down below, shoot me an email, whatever works best for you. I'm always interested in hearing. I can't say I can watch all the teams and every team, but I watched all of them that are on the top 25 to one degree or another. So that's generally the biggest rule I have. I have to watch them. So I like to opine about things that at least I have some semblance of an understanding of. Maybe not a full understanding, but so with that, why don't I just jump right in to start at number 25, first time rated in the Simple Coach Top 25 at 8-2. I'm going with North Central. So since they lost to Wash U, they've been on a 6-game winning streak, and the last 3 have been against one top 100 team and 2 top 50 teams. And their next up is their away at Carroll. So I think this team is making strides, and they're definitely carrying some momentum going into conference play. So at 24, 5-1-1, down 3 spots is Otterbein, the Cardinals of Otterbein. They beat Oberlin, and then they had this crazy unexpected, what I think was an unexpected, not that it was on my bingo card, loss to Franciscan. They lost, I think, 3-1. It could just be a stumble, but I think their next 2 games, Wittenberg and Trine, they really need to take care of business there. So at 23, 6-1, up a spot, Emory. They had good wins against Covenant and Lynchburg. Next up is Swanee, and then they have a huge game against Wash U, which will dictate a lot for the 2 teams, for both teams, but in particular Emory. So how serious are they? At 22, by far the biggest drop, and I actually thought about dropping them out of the top 25 altogether, but I was, not so inclined. I'm thinking of giving them another shot. Down 16 spots are the Hawks of Hartford at 3-2-1. You know, they beat St. Joseph, and then they lost to Endicott. You know, and I'll just say, this isn't the team of last year, obviously. They're not playing up to that level, it seems to me, in the games that I've watched. And I think they just need to win now to stay in the top 25. Otherwise, otherwise it's not going to happen for them. So at 21, NESCAC team at 3-0-3, Middlebury. They had 2 ties away at Amherst and Wesleyan, and I think this team can hang with the best of them. Tying Amherst and Wesleyan away is no small feat. They are down 3 spots, but I think it's just a condition of that there being ties and not wins, and some other teams warranting jumps up in their places. So at number 20, 4-0-3, up 3 spots, NYU. UAA. They had wins against Vassar and Sarah Lawrence. And next up, there's John Jay, which they should win. And then they travel to Scranton, which could be a pretty contentious game. So that'll be fun to watch. Up a spot at 19, defending national champions, 4-0-3 Cal Lutheran. They had a great win against Claremont Mudd Scripps, and then they beat Laverne. They have Chapman and Occidental left, so I think those are two games that they should be able to handle. Next up, at 18, up 4 spots, because I think they're actually sort of hitting a groove of sorts. Case Western at 5-0-2. They beat my alma mater, Mount Union, which I didn't take too kindly to, and then they beat Capital. They scored 7 goals in both of those games and only conceded 1. They face Penn State Behrend and Wittenberg on the road before hosting 2 big matchups that they're going to have to, we'll see where they stand afterwards the following week against Ohio Wesleyan and NYU. So it should be, the lead up to those games is going to be critical for getting some good performances. So another one that's dropped, it's down 7. Although I don't think it's necessarily a real reflection of where they're at. I still think they're very good. At 6-2, Wisconsin Lacrosse. They had 2 really tough losses in a row against Calvin and North Central, both top 50 teams. And then next up, which is going to be a tough one, they face Christopher Newport at home. So that's going to be tricky. So we'll see where they're at after that Christopher Newport game. At 16, up 3 spots at 5-1-1, McDaniel. They bounced back from that loss to Messiah, and then they beat Penn State Harrisburg and Ursinus. They're up next for them is Gettysburg and Bryn Mawr, which, to be quite honest, I expect them to win. So at this time next week, I expect to be talking about a 7-1-1 team. No pressure. Up 2 spots to 15, Johns Hopkins, 3-1-3. If you didn't get a chance to watch the midweek game where they tied TC&J, that was a great ball game between 2 very, very capable teams. And then they followed that up with that match with a win against Muhlenberg. Next up, they face a very good Dickinson team, and then followed by Ursinus. So we'll see how they keep it rolling. So up 2 spots at 14, 4-1 Washington and Lee, go Generals. They had 4 wins in a row without conceding a goal. You got to reward them somehow, right? Up 2 spots. At 14, down a spot, 5-1-1, University of Paywall. You guessed it, University of Rochester. They beat St. John Fisher, and then they lost to very good William Smith at home. I will say I didn't expect them to concede 3 goals in that game, but they did. And for those that care, yes, they still have me blocked on Exeter. Okay, where am I? 5-0-1, number 12, up 3 spots. New Jersey natives, the Profs of Rowan. They beat Muhlenberg and Drew, and I will say I'm sort of looking at them, and I think they should take their next 4 games before they really face some tight competition. So I would expect next week 7-0-1 and then 9-0-1. That's how I think they're that good. They can do that, but I just don't think the competition should get in the way of that. So Next up, number 11, up 3 spots. Justify. This one's easy to justify. 7-0, Loras College, undefeatable. They keep winning, and looking at their schedule, I expect that as well. So at some point they're going to have to face Central, which is going to be a matchup because Central's having a really great year under Coach K. So yeah, that'll be an interesting to watch. Up 1 spot at number 10, Falcons of Messiah at 3-1-3. You know, they lost to William Smith, but then they beat Penn State Berks, which I would have expected, and then they had a really great win against Misericordia at Misericordia. So, you know, maybe they're finding it. So we'll keep an eye. Speaking of, down a spot at number 9, 8-1 Misericordia. They beat a very good Cortland team, and then that's when they lost to Messiah 2-0. So, but I still don't take anything away from this team. I think it might be a blip, and they're going to keep rolling here. Okay, at number 8, 6-0-1 MIT. They keep doing what they're doing. They're up 5 spots, which is usually a lot in my book. But, you know, they had a couple of really solid wins against Johnson and Wales, Rhode Island, and Mount Holyoke. They next face Tufts, which, let's be real, is going to show the medal for both teams. I mean, that's going to be a really, really tough game. So that's going to determine a lot in the top 25 next week. So at number 7, down 2 spots, but it was more of a condition of what others have done that deserved to move up. So at 5-0-2, College of New Jersey, they had ties against Johns Hopkins and Stevens away. So those are great results, bar none. And this team can still play. Like, tying Johns Hopkins at Johns Hopkins is no small feat. I thought they maybe pulled a better result out of Stevens, but nonetheless, I still think they're good results. So, again, their downward move was just as a result of sort of those ties, and then to boot some of the other folks who I think deserve really to take a jump. Team that looks like it's really doing well, playing the way they did last season during the tournament, that I think we need to really be aware of. In the 6th spot, 3-1-1 Tufts. They did tie Hamilton away, and they have a big week. A lot's going to be determined this week when they hit the road. And like I mentioned, they play MIT, and then on the weekend they play Wesleyan. So it'll be a good judge of them, or we'll judge them in this next week, because it is some serious competition. A lot riding on this week. So okay, up 2 spots. I'm liking this team. 5-0-3 Carnegie Mellon, the Tartans of Carnegie Mellon. They have 3 wins in a row against Grove City, Ohio Northern, which is pretty significant, and BW. So I think, yeah, they're forced to contend with. At number 4, at 5-0-2, they are in the same spot as they were last week. The Banana Slugs of Pomona Pitzer. They're not the Banana Slugs, I'm sorry. They beat the Banana Slugs of UC Santa Cruz and then St. Catherine. And they did it by scoring 11 goals and conceding only one. So they are very capable. They are very, very capable of a team. So same as last week. At number 3, at 4-0-1, the Mammoths of Amherst. They beat William Smith, followed by a win against Williams, both of them away. Their next 5 games, including trips to Bates and Colby, will be pretty telling, and it's very kind of brutal. So I think we'll see a lot over the next couple weeks. For a lot of teams, I think it's just we're going into the core of the season. So it will be interesting to see what the Mammoths do. Which leads us to number 2 at 5-0-1. The Captains of Christopher Newport. I'm really liking what they're doing. Took down Trinity. They do travel to Wisconsin La Crosse and then Wisconsin Eau Claire this weekend. So we'll see how the trip goes. But I think right now this is a team to contend with. I will say, definitely reminds me of their championship year a lot more than it did last season. So, which leaves us to number 1. Again, no change. They're doing things in an impressive fashion. Undefeatable, 8-0. They've had 2 wins this week. Wash U. They combined for a 9-0 win against Illinois Wesleyan and Rose-Hulman. And then they actually travel to Calvin on Monday. They didn't mention these results are as of Sunday. So yeah. So it'll be an interesting week for them. But that's it. Top spot still with Wash U until they prove otherwise. That's where they're going to sit. Okay, so that was it, the top 25. Hope you enjoyed. As I mentioned, by all means, if I'm missing something or should look at a team or I got something totally wrong, which never happens, obviously. Never wrong. Tell my kids and my wife that. Just post it below. Shoot me an email. Always love to engage and discuss. Hop on the boards. Always have fun talking about the game. And so we'll be on it. This again. Keep following along. Hopefully, I'll be doing an around D3. I think later in the week, where I just sort of run through some observations that I've had through these first few weeks from the last couple weeks. And anyhow, thanks again for all your support. Thanks for watching. By all means, if you haven't done so, subscribe, all that routine that everyone says. Really do appreciate it. And hopefully we will see each other again soon. Later.